Well, y'all, we had a good run, but it looks like we're gonna have to finally start paying back our student loans. In this video, I'm gonna give you an update on the federal student loans, when we have to start paying them back, and where you can actually find your student loans. And I make personal finance videos all the time, so if you enjoy topics like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Okay, so first let's do like an overall review of what's been going on with federal student loans. Since March of 2020, federal student loans have been paused, and this was because of the COVID pandemic. And not just the federal student loans, but also the interest on those loans was paused as well. So former President Trump originally paused all payments on the loans, and now current President Biden has extended that freeze. So this has been going on since March of 2020, and in fall of 2022, Biden announced his plan for student loan forgiveness. And as a recap, this is only for federal student loans, so sorry for anyone who has private student loans, but for those of us with federal ones, anyone who makes less than $125,000 a year, you can have up to $10,000 in student loans forgiven. And anyone who ever received a Pell Grant, they can have up to $20,000 forgiven. Personally, I'm a part of that group that would get $10,000 forgiven. And as soon as this announcement was released, I went and I applied for the forgiveness, and I got an email stating that my $10,000 will be forgiven. So good for me. But certain members of Congress did not support Biden's plan and sued him. And now it is up to the Supreme Court to decide if Biden's forgiveness plan will actually happen. But regardless of if that forgiveness will actually happen, that's only like $10,000 or $20,000 depending on your circumstances. And for a lot of us, that still leaves like tens of thousands, if not more, dollars in student loans that we still have to pay back. And recently, Congress has been debating about reaching a deal for our debt ceiling. They did finally reach an agreement, and part of that agreement was that Americans will have to resume paying back our student loans. So after more than 3 years, 40 million people will have to start paying a bill that we haven't even thought about since like the beginning of COVID, which honestly feels like a lifetime ago. And right now it's expected that the payments will resume August 29th of this year. And August 29th is the same day that interest will start accruing again as well. And me personally, I'm really curious to see like what will happen when we have to start paying this back, because people's entire lives have changed since March of 2020. People have moved. They've gotten new jobs, they've lost jobs, maybe they started a business, maybe they started a family. Inflation is as high as it has ever been. The prices of cars has gone up, groceries has gone up, like just all these different things have happened. And now people will start having to pay a bill that's usually like hundreds of dollars a month that we haven't had to pay for in like 3 years. So I'm very curious to see like what will actually happen. And I have heard that a lot of people are like, I'm not paying these loans back. And, you know, that's between God and Joe Biden, because it's like, it's above me now. Like, it doesn't concern me. You know, I hear a lot of people saying that. And I get it. Like, I understand where you're coming from. But I also want to warn people of like all of the major financial consequences that can happen if you do not pay your student loans. Number one, your credit score will drop significantly. And your credit score is important if you ever want to buy big things like a house or a car. Even if you want to like rent an apartment, if you don't have a good credit score, it can be really hard to rent an apartment, at least like a decent apartment, a place where you would like want to live. So credit scores are really important. And even if you're at a point where like, I'm not like in the market to buy any of those things, or I like where I live, I don't need to get a new apartment or anything like that. So if you're not even thinking about those things and you're just like, forget it, I don't care if my credit score drops, the government can also garnish your wages. So even if you don't voluntarily pay your student loans, the government can still take the money out of your bank account and they will get their money if they need it. And I've heard some people opting to just put their loans in forbearance. And that can be an option, but just know that even if you do put your loans in forbearance, they still accrue interest, and forbearance is still a short-term solution. Like your student loans don't like magically go away just because they're in forbearance. So these are all things to think about. So because of all of this, me personally, reluctantly, I will begin paying my student loans once the payments aren't frozen anymore. At the very beginning of COVID, when, like everyone, I had no idea that this was gonna last for like 3 years. I was like, ooh, let me jump at this opportunity. And I didn't pay off my loans. I still have quite a bit of loans, but I did pay off all the interest. So right now I just have like the principal amount, but I don't owe any interest, which is good, I guess. But yeah, I will be paying mine once the payments are unfrozen. I plan on being on an income-based repayment plan or whatever can get me the lowest possible monthly payment. And that's because I'm trying to buy a house in the somewhat like near future. Another thing I wanted to let y'all know, since it's been 3 years since you've had to make a payment, you may not realize that your student loan provider has changed. For me, I used to have Great Lakes, and a few months ago, I got an email saying that Great Lakes doesn't exist anymore, or at least they're not my provider anymore. And now I have a new provider called Nelnet. Never heard of them, but they now have my student loans. So if I were you and you don't know if your student loan provider has changed, I would try logging into your old provider to see what they say, or going through your email and checking to see if you got an email from a new student loan provider saying, hey, your loans are with us now. And when I did this, setting up everything in Nelnet was actually like really easy. I just had to verify my identity, and then I set up my username and password, and that was pretty much it. When I logged in, all my information was there, unfortunately, and it showed that I have around $34,000 in student loans. But if Biden's forgiveness plan goes through, then I'll have about $24,000. So I'm banking on that. It also says that my first payment isn't due until October. So I guess like payments restart August 29th, but maybe it takes like another cycle before the payment is actually due, because mine said that it would be due like the middle of October, and then they estimated that my monthly payment would be like around $225. So I hope that all of this was helpful. I know that student loans can be kind of a divisive topic, to say the least, but go ahead, feel free to vent in the comments down below. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.